All right, my watch list for tomorrow. I'm going to start with Yahoo. Now this one, there's not that much. You look at this chart, and it's not very compelling, but you do see the volume, a big volume spike today. And on an intraday basis, zooming in with 2-minute candles to show you what happened today, Yahoo's just plodding along doing nothing, and all of a sudden, boom, comes out with news. I think some rumors of a possible someone looking to buy him or something along those lines. But so what I did was I let this thing rip and then pull back and called it long. I'm basically on a 2-minute buy setup. Called it long in the chat room right there. 34.17. Worst case stop, I think 34.04 right there. And look what happened. Just ripped the rest of the day. Went all the way almost to 35. It went to 34.92. So with that said, you know, that volume on the daily, most of that happened going back here basically in the final hour. So this one deserves to be back on watch tomorrow and see if we can't get some kind of follow through, okay? But I'm in cash now. I'm in cash every night, but that was a really nice trade, and it's going to go back on watch tomorrow. Along those same lines, BIOF had this big move here a couple days down. If you watched last night's video, I had this on bounce watch today, okay? Because it was coming back to the 8-day moving average, and we got a really nice move. On an intraday basis today, if you're wondering how I called it in chat, it was just basing along here. And let's get a little drawing tool going. So you just had this high of day base, kind of a little ascending wedge or ascending triangle, whatever you want to call it. And you'll notice that volume started to come in right here. And so I already had this on bounce watch. It was bouncing off the 8-day like I'd said it might. And I went ahead and called this long in the chat room at 793. Worst case stop, 777. So there's a trigger. And look at this thing. It just rips to all the way to 920 something. We had a field day with that one in chat. Never came close to stopping out, and it deserves to be back on watch again. It makes such big moves that it has to be on watch. And now it's away from the moving average right now, but with the move that it made today, it may do some sort of repeat tomorrow. And again, only with a proper intraday setup, kind of like the one I just showed you there. KNDI, also want to have this on watch. I had a Seeking Alpha story. Sorry about that. I should know better than to suck on a mint while I'm starting a video. So there, I just chewed it up and killed it. All right, KNDI, because of a Seeking Alpha story, just got killed today, but that was near the end of the day, and this one may bounce. It's got a nice, the last little turn was just here below 18, so I'll be watching that area again. Going to an intraday chart, this is what it looked like early on. Okay, so these are 5-minute candles. There was the opening high, and there was a lower high right there, but it started to come back up. Now, I wasn't really watching this one today. One of our members, Ruth, kind of put this on my radar. She actually liked it before I did. She called it at 2010. It was just her idea. Members put out ideas in the chat room all the time, but when I saw Ruth's post, it made me look at KNDI. So I looked at it and watched it for a little bit, and I went ahead and called it officially for the room at 2030 with a stop at 19.99. That's a lot of arrows. Let's get those out of the way. And there was a trigger, and it went all the way to from 2030 to 2131, I think. So that was basically, I thought it did. Yeah, so it's basically a dollar move in our favor on about 30 cents risk. And that one, again, thanks to Ruth. And remember, we're day traders, so you might say, well, you bought it here, but look how it ended up. It doesn't matter because we sell into strength. So we had a nice trade in that one. And it's back on watch tomorrow for a potential bounce. CBI, whoops, I didn't trade this one today. But remember, I had this on the watch list last night. On an intraday basis, there's no way I was going to buy it up in that 69.90 area that I talked about in the video last night, because look how far it had to come. Whoops, look how far it had to come to get there, all the way from down here because it sold off early. And so I did note this volume spike, and we could have had a trade there, but I didn't take it. And I did say near the end of the day, though, this one is going to be a pretty nice setup for tomorrow. Now that it had this rebound and basing near the high of the day, there it is on 60. So, again, up through 70, this one is very interesting. It actually got to 70.10 today. So let's just say maybe over 70.10 tomorrow. I talked about this in last night's video. I think, sellers had a field day. You had this little bear flag here. Let me do the lines one more time. So you had this little bear flag, and it went down, took out the lows right there, but no more, right? That was it. It didn't go any lower. Another bear flag, and it started down, but now it put in a higher low right there. And so then you've got this base, and it's trying to break out of it. So this one's interesting to me for a long. I like it over 70-10. AMSC, didn't do anything with this one today, but it just goes back on watch. Nice pop here, nice secondary pop. Kind of a quiet day today. So that one just kind of goes on bounce watch. INO, big gap up, big volume. Let's go to an intraday. And really just kind of based near the end of the day. I would put in a consolidation. So this one's interesting on Thursday. You know, maybe over this base, 1330-ish or above. Other than that, I'm just going to watch it and see if I get some kind of clear-cut setup. All right, but it needs to be on watch. Broadcom gapped up. Man, just sold all day. Just sold all day. I actually made a little money, on a long in this one off the 39 area, but it only went up like 22, 23 cents. So, I made what I call lunch money, and then I was back out. But and then you'd think maybe when it filled the gap, and it did give a little bounce there, but anyway, closed pretty weak. Going here on 30-minute candles. Let's go to 60s. I mean, you're definitely coming down into a lot of consolidation, okay? After this gap up, you had this long area of support. So, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and put this one. I mean, you've got a lot of trading. Those aren't great lines, but you got a lot of trading after the gap up. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one on what I call bounce watch. Okay, you have the gap up and then back down. Well, look back here. This day it gapped up and then ended up gapping up, opening here, and then closing a pretty nasty red candle back in early June on some other story that wasn't earnings. So then you have a gap up again, and so, but look what it did the next day. Nice green day and went up from there. It doesn't mean that's going to happen again, but do have a lot of support here. I mean, it's been trading in this 37 to 39 area for, I don't know, 5-6 weeks. And so now after gapping up on positive earnings, we're back down into that area. So I do have this one on bounce watch tomorrow. Dick's Sporting Goods. It finally lost 44. It was holding 44 so nicely that I told everybody in chat today I should have had this on short watch once it kind of got below 44. But having said that, actually I'm looking for a bounce tomorrow because you had the gap down, and then a lot of times after a gap you just form a range. Okay, and you can see that blue line, but I'll put a red line there too. And now a couple days down, and we're at the bottom of that range. So I'm looking for a bounce from that area. All right. That's why I have that blue line. There's not a bad idea to put lines like that on your chart. So then on an intraday basis when you're trading, you'll see the line. So if this were to come down and touch that line, I don't have to go out to the daily chart. I already know where that recent low is. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But I look for a turn, maybe a green 5-minute candle or something if it comes down to this line. And I'll be looking for a long setup on Dick's, DKS. Let's see, CarMax, KMX. Let's go back to the daily. Again, I don't have a trade in it, at this moment where it closed, but you have another scenario where you had the gap up back here on, I think, blowout earnings, and then you're in a range. So if this one, if there's any kind of market selling, I'm real interested in a bounce off of $50 or the $50 area. So that one, may or may not even come close to that. We'll see, but it doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. Looking at my notes, I think that's the list. Yeah, we'll find other stuff to trade in the chat room as well, but that's the list I'm starting with, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.